I want quite a lot of length falling forward onto this fringe. So I'm going to over-direct back to roughly where his head rounds off and starts to become level, which is there. That leaves me with a lot more length to play with on the inside than if I try and cut it all this short, we wouldn't have very much at all. I need a little bit of build-up on that fringe. So I'm going to start working back through these sections and start establishing my internal shape. What are you up to, Simon?
Okay, so what he really dislikes about his hair at the moment. Initially it was all about, not having too much length removal, about a feeling of weight. Now when we talk about a feeling of weight, it's generally down to either we built up too much graduation, we need to implement some layering inside the hair. But for me it was understanding what shape do we have in the hair already vertically, then most importantly with this haircut, what shape do we have in there horizontally. So that as Nelson then brushes back his hair, it just has much more flow. He's going to need less product to control the hair. Now when we talk about graduation, obviously we know it's a build up of weight internally from the external. We need to think about our body position. When we're working horizontally on this haircut, we need to ensure that that is moving with the shape of the head. So we're creating round graduation. That's both created by my finger angle.
How do you make it look good? How do you get the texture? How do you get the movement? Okay? Now, quite simply for me, this is just about letting this dry in naturally. Don't tamper with it too much. Okay? Let the hair dry the way you want it to sit. Okay? So as that's sitting beautifully nice, as soon as I move on to the next sections, I'm just going to keep referring and putting that into place so it dries in naturally and we can hold the shape. And all of these kicks are going to hit out naturally. Okay? If you start blow drying and pushing them, you're going to end up with a big crazy mess. Okay, which
is a lot of hair, basically. We've got a mullet of sorts that we're going to kind of finesse. I really like, and my client likes, this length down the temples, but we both agree. I've been buying as well. What I think I'm going to do with my approach is I'm going to take a big triangular section and chop it off. And then that's going to be something I'll do towards the end. I really want to attack this front. Again, same as the first one. It's going to be a different style, but a similar approach. We're going to establish our external shape on the front, work back from there.
It's a little bit easier for him to style. One of Donald's biggest challenges was the recession areas in the front of the hair. It was a little bit finer, he was conscious of that, and he was wearing it in quite severe side partings. Now for me, side partings are the enemy of any sort of receding or weakness in the recession areas, because all it does is expose that. What I want to do is ensure that it's a haircut that he's still comfortable to wear, i.e. wearing it over to the side, but rather than any strict parting lines or any separation, I'm just going to encourage the hair to sit quite naturally and be worn quite loosely. So whilst again I'm going to cut this quite technically, we're going to cut through the graduation, I still want to style it really, really naturally. I'm not going to look to blow dry this flat, I'm going to look to promote a bit of texture, a bit of life, a bit of volume, which is hopefully going to allow Donald to see a little bit more coverage of the finer areas, and it to feel a little bit less of a sort of direct separation, direct exposure. We'll move on to the clipper work once it's dry, but for now, all I'm doing is really utilising that very, very first temple guideline. It's on the skin, it's finger tight, and then I'm building the weight.
To the best of my advantage. Okay, I've just been discussing it with the guys while everyone's finishing off the breaks. My little thing that I'm into watching at the moment, no joke, is American barbers. Okay, that's where a lot of the trends are coming from that are short hair. Okay, again we're seeing more length on the head because typically what we've always done as barbers would be to pin everything up, go up to the curvature of the head and give a haircut which blends onto curvature. Okay, classic short back and side hair, whether that be a fade or a two-taper or a three-taper or so forth. Now, that for me is probably, if I did that with scissors, is going to take me 25 minutes to get everything exactly perfect. And I've just done that in about 4 or 5 minutes, okay? Exactly the same, it looks the same as if I did it with my scissors, but in fact it's probably got more that I want because think about what I'm trying to get with the blowout taper. It's a little bit random, it's a little bit shaggy around the edges, but it's also got your finer arts of when we're going to get down to the clipper work and the tapering, okay? So again, exactly what I'm doing, using the head as a guide. The first thing that I did was I put the comb right there onto his occipital and I wanted to map out my top length, okay? That was my guide and I've worked it out from there. Alright, now all I'm going to do is now that I have that in, quite rough, okay, again I have a choice now. I can start to work on the top and I can start to cut in a shape and see it all come together. But for me right now, it's not going to help me. I think by setting in more of a shape is going to include more hair. I'm just going to work on some tapering right now. Okay? For me, that's going to take me the longest part. So I want to focus more on doing the tapers. So I'm going to kick off down the sideburns. I'm not too sure, it's like everything that we're saying, I'm not sure how severe I'm going to go, but it's more about cleaning up this weight that we have on the cheeks coming into this part of the hair here. So I'm going to pass you on the Brody because I think you're about to what you have, just done something incredible.
I've not done much yet. I've only sectioned the back up and basically just evened off that bottom length. I took everything off I'm going to remove later, sectioned it up, and I just kind of squared off that back a little bit. There was a really big dip on the back, and I just kind of leveled it off, just getting my perimeter a little more where I want it before I start. Then I've come around to the front. I don't want to take much off this fringe, it's ever such a little bit, so I've got to be super careful with it. His hairline's obviously very springy, we've got a little short point there. We probably had a cut a few weeks ago, and so obviously there's some little bits that you just have to deal with. Some of the things just are, that length I can't put more hair on, so we're going to have to work around it. It doesn't mean I have to match everything up to that length, it's just something I've got to work around. So this hair's wet, it's going to stretch a little, it's going to lie a little more flat. I have to expect that this is going to shorten up and pink up when it dries. So I'm going really, really minimal with the hair that I take off on this front hairline. All I'm really trying to do is take the ends off his fringe and I'm just tucking this little corner a little bit here, leaving the length there. It's kind of going to accentuate the length on the sideburns, and it's also going to connect us nicer to the fringe, rather than just being a diagonal shape that comes down like that. We're going to put a little concave shape in there, just encourages a little bit of movement, and it looks a little nicer, for me anyway, personal preference. I think that little bit of roundness is going to look really, really nice, gives a more desirable shape. So I'm just doing this very, very similar to the first haircut, but to achieve different results. Everything is the same processes that we rely on. We say it's improvising, but we have these techniques and processes that we know are going to work. It's just which one do we pull out of the bag today for this particular style.
And I feel what grade 3, this is going to seamlessly blend.
I like the service. I like that it was a service-driven thing. Okay, now put yourselves into situations in your own salon over the last 10 years. I feel like we've all become very, very complacent in who we are as stylists. A lot of the guys that sit in my chair, sitting there every single week or 2 weeks. Okay, and I've done that. I've driven my customers to be coming in, and I've educated this a lot. Coming every 2 weeks, get you in, I'll do it, I'll get you in. And I feel like the service part of the industry has completely and utterly dwindled. There's not a lot of love that comes a lot from the UK barber scene at the moment. And my biggest observation of the industry now is we're going very service driven. Price is about to inflate. Like I'm looking at the price point. I know Amsterdam typically is a lot more expensive for a haircut. It's €42. You know, how much is it back where we are? It's 25 tops. Like that's like an expensive haircut. I want to earn more money. Who doesn't want to earn more money? Money's what keeps us all going, keeps us driven, keeps us passionate. But we have to get there a certain way, and it's service driven. Okay? Now,
That just expands the shape of the cut. I think a common thing with like this hair type is that it's big and it's springy and people don't want it big. But this doesn't look heavy. It's really like airy and it's lots of volume, but it's not too much weight. We took a lot of length out of this with the intervals and just the layering. It was falling super flat, and you can see that those lengths don't really connect now, but they make sense. Like all this is still cut into shards, whereas before it looked like different levels. So it doesn't even really matter so much if it's disconnected. It plays into the style, and yeah, I think we've achieved exactly what we wanted with that. I knew that I wanted that shorter fringe. I'm really happy with how that's come out. I think leaving that little bit more weight on the front and bringing it down has left it sitting really nice. Yeah, bang on. I think this has gone lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you very
Catch the version of myself while we're out here just to play. Can I get better than this? Tomorrow when I'm still awake, I promise I will take a break. Try to get rid of my sins. The road to unknown, nightmares and fairy tales. I know that I know nothing, so into the wind I'll sail. But will it get better than this? Right now I have everything. I feel so good in my skin. Tomorrow I deal with my sins. But will it get better than this? Right now I have everything. I feel so good in my skin. Tomorrow I deal with my sins.
Yeah, so what I did, I kind of pulled this up, so it's like, I don't want to put it where it is, so I'll drag it up and over, direct it up towards the fringe, and then I'll, featherize it. A lot better than I expected. That sort of disconnection is really what you can see. It gives us all this life on the ground, it expands the shape.
let go long time ago, and who is still under control. There is so much deep within. I'm climbing out that box, I'm told I find my gods and lots of gold. Do you still try to fit in? The road to unknown, like their nightmares and fairy tales. I know that I know nothing, so into the wind I sail.